Hey everyone, welcome! Today we're going to tackle one of the coolest topics in your Class 10 biology syllabus, vegetative propagation. Ever wondered how you can take just a piece of a plant and grow a whole new one? Well, you're about to find out. Let's get into it.
Okay, so here's the plan for today. We'll kick things off with what it is, then jump into how plants do this all by themselves. After that, we'll look at the smart ways humans get in on the action, why it's so useful, and finish up with how to nail this on your exam. Sound good?
All right, first things first, let's get the foundation right. Before we dive into all the really cool examples, we got to be super clear on what we're actually talking about. So, what exactly is vegetative propagation?
Okay, so the main idea is actually pretty simple. Think about it this way. We're making new plants, but we're totally skipping the whole flowers and seeds part. Instead, we're using things like leaves, stems, or even roots to grow a brand new plant from scratch.
Now, this leads to two super important points, and you've absolutely got to remember these for your exams. First, since there are no gametes involved, this is what we call asexual reproduction. And what does that mean? It means the new plants are exact genetic copies of the parent. We're talking perfect clones here.
Okay, now for the really cool part. Let's see how this incredible process happens out in nature, all by itself. I mean, this isn't some trick humans invented. Plants have been experts at this for millions of years.
So let's start with leaves, which is, honestly, mind-blowing. The classic example you'll see everywhere is the bryophyllum plant. You see, these tiny little baby plants, we call them plantlets, literally start growing right on the edges of the main leaf. They grow their own little leaves and roots, and when they're ready, they just drop off and start a whole new life. How cool is that?
And stems? Oh, they're super clever. The perfect example is a strawberry plant. You know how they send out those long creeping stems? We call those runners. Well, wherever that runner touches the soil, bam, it puts down new roots. These are called adventitious roots, and a whole new strawberry plant starts growing right there.
Now this table, this is pure gold for your revision. So many plants use their stems in sneaky ways, not just for support, but to store food and reproduce underground. A potato, for instance, is a stem called a tuber, and every one of those eyes you see is actually a bud that can grow a new plant. Same goes for onions, which are bulbs, and ginger, which is a rhizome. They're all just different kinds of stems, ready to go.
And we can't forget about the roots. In some plants, like guava, the roots themselves can actually grow buds. These are called radical buds. They're like little starter kits for a new plant that can just pop up out of the ground, sometimes pretty far away from the original tree.
Okay, so we've seen how plants do this on their own. Now let's look at how humans got smart and started using this amazing power for themselves. People have been using these ideas for centuries in farming and gardening.
Probably the most common method you've heard of is cutting. It's exactly what it sounds like. You take a piece of a stem, making sure it has a bud on it, snip it off, and stick it in some moist soil. That's it. If things go well, it'll grow its own roots and turn into a whole new plant. This is how people grow things like roses and hibiscus all the time.
Next up is layering. This one is a bit different, but it's super reliable. What you do is you take a branch that's hanging low, bend it down, and bury a part of it in the soil. The key is it's still attached to the parent plant, so it's getting all the food and water it needs to survive. Once that buried part grows its own roots, you can snip it off and voila, a brand new, healthy plant. Jasmine is a great example of this.
Now, grafting. This is where things get really clever. It's almost like plant surgery. You're basically taking two different plants and joining them together to make one super plant that has the best features of both. You might take the strong roots from one plant and attach the stem from another plant that grows amazing fruit. You tie them together and their tissues fuse and grow as one. This is huge for growing things like mangoes and apples.
So, to really get grafting, you just need to know two words: stalk and scion. The stalk is the bottom part, the one with the roots in the ground. Think of it as the foundation. The scion is the part you add on top, the piece with the great fruit or flowers you want. Put them together and you get the best of both worlds. Simple as that.
Okay, so we've covered the how, but why bother? What's the big deal? Let's talk about the major advantages of all this, and then we'll check out some really futuristic tech that takes it to a whole other level. Pay attention here, because this is a classic exam question. The advantages are massive. For one, you get to keep all the good traits you want, since you're making a clone. 2, it's way faster than growing from a seed. 3, the plants often produce flowers and fruit much earlier, and you can see why all of this makes it a game changer for commercial farming.
All right, now we're getting into some serious sci-fi territory with something called tissue culture. This is a super high-tech way of doing things in a lab. You can take just a few cells from a plant, put them in a special nutrient jelly with hormones, and you can grow an entire plant from just that tiny sample. It's wild.
And this is the part that just blows my mind. From that one tiny piece of plant tissue, you're not growing one plant. You can grow thousands, literally thousands, of identical, healthy plants super quickly. This has totally revolutionized farming and even how we can save endangered plants.
Okay, time to bring it all home. Let's pull everything together and talk strategy. What do you absolutely need to know to crush this topic on your exam? Here's your final checklist.
Let's start with a really fundamental question. This gets to the heart of the whole topic, and I can almost guarantee you'll see some version of it on your test. So why are the new plants always perfect copies of the parent?
And the answer is really straightforward, but you have to get it right. It's all because this is asexual reproduction. There's only one parent. That means there's no mixing of genes like you'd get with two parents. All the genetic information comes from that one source, so the offspring has to be an identical clone. It's that simple.
All right, team, this is it, your exam checklist. Here's what you need to lock in. 1. Know the definition cold. 2. Memorize at least one example for each natural method: leaves, stems, roots. 3. Know the steps for cutting, layering, and grafting. 4. Be ready to explain stock versus scion. And 5. Know that tissue culture is the modern, mass production method. You nail these 5 points, you're golden.
And to wrap up, I'm going to leave you with a little puzzle to think about. Let's say you have 2 mango trees. One has amazing disease-resistant roots, but the fruit is just okay. The other tree grows the best mangoes on the planet, but its roots are weak. Now, which one of the techniques we talked about today would you use to create the ultimate mango tree? Have a think about it. It's a great way to check if you really got it. Thanks for tuning in.